June the 20th, 2000, and are still in our third week of the 21-day retreat. Deep listening is a very important practice. Deep listening sometimes is called compassionate listening. Every one of us should train himself or herself to do this, because this is the most important practice if you want to help. Of course, we have to listen to ourselves. We have to listen to our body. We have to listen to our own sufferings and our real need. But we also have to listen to the person we love, to the people who suffer so much. Listening is so healing, so transforming. Therefore, every one of us has to cultivate the art of listening, deep listening. This is the practice, the fourth mindfulness trainings. If you practice diligently during 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be able to listen. The practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful sitting can help you to do so. Avalokiteshvara is a bodhisattva that has the capacity of listening deeply. And therefore he can help so many people. When we listen with compassion, we allow ourselves to be empty, without any prejudices, without any preconceived ideas. We listen not to judge, not to criticize. We just listen for the sake of listening. We listen in order to give the other person a chance to express himself or herself. And during the time of listening, we have to maintain alive that kind of desire, willingness to help. I listen like this because I want to help him or her to have a chance to express himself or herself. And compassion has to be kept alive during the whole time of listening. I listen because I want to be compassionate, because no one has listened to him. No one has listened to her, really. So I am the one. I must be the one who do the work, who does the work of deep listening. I have to be the bodhisattva. I cannot count on any other people. So with a strong determination, you sit down and listen to him or to her. As far as compassion is maintained alive, the quality of listening will be good. Even that person say things that are unjust, full of wrong perceptions, full of judgments, full of injustice, you can still go on and listen. You are not affected because you are protected by compassion. I listen because I just want him or her to have a chance to express himself or herself. Therefore, anything she said, anything he said, you would allow it to be heard. You are like a lotus leaf. Nothing can penetrate, can affect you. You have to empty yourself of ideas. You just fill yourself up with compassion. And then the person who listens, who speaks, will have a wonderful feeling that finally there is someone who really listens to him or to her. If you feel irritation coming up, it means that your practice is not correct. If you are motivated by the desire to answer and to correct him or her right away, that's not the practice. If you interrupt in the middle, you spoil everything. You just listen with compassion and you say, poor creature, he suffers so much. Đế thính is the word in Vietnamese. Sometimes we call bi thính. Bi thính means compassionate listening. Đế thính means deep listening. If you notice that irritation is coming up, suffering is coming up, you should stop. You would say that, my dear friend, could we continue tomorrow or next week? I don't feel well enough today. Don't try too hard. And you go and practice walking meditation again, mindful breathing again, sitting again. And when you are certain that you can listen with compassion, then you resume the conversation. I know a lady who just practiced 5 days in a retreat, and she went home and apply the techniques of deep listening, and she was able to transform herself and her husband. They had not talked to each other for many years. He was like a bomb, ready to always explode at any time. Communication was impossible, and no one in the family could help him, including the children, who had all graduated from university. So with the practice of deep listening, she was able to restore communication relationship. She did a lot of walking meditation, sitting meditation during the retreat. For her, it's a matter of life and death. She has to succeed. The night when she got home, she was very calm, very determined to succeed. and she was like another person. So she was silent for a long time, and finally she came and sit close to him, and she said, "My dear friend, I know you suffer so much. You have suffered so much. It's partly because of me. I did not understand your suffering. I was not aware that you suffer so much, and I contributed a lot to your suffering. I'm very sorry. I want to begin new, to have a fresh start, and you should help me. If not, I will not be able to do this. I really want I really care for you and want you to stop suffering. I want you to be happy." But I did not know, and I made a lot of mistakes. So please help. Please tell me what is your heart. I do my best to listen and to understand, because I have not understood you, your suffering, your difficulties. That was the first time after so many years that she could speak to him in that kind of language. They had been always quarreling, and their speech was very bitter, judgmental, and so on. So with awakening, true awakening and compassion in her, she was able to say so. And her husband suddenly began to cry like a little boy. And when she saw that he was crying, she said she knew that the door of his heart is open again. She was encouraged by that. So she insisted, "My dear friend, please help me, please help me. Please tell me what is in your heart. I'll try my best to understand you, because if I do not understand, I will continue to make mistakes." And that night turned to be a very healing night for both of them. Communication was restored because of the practice of deep listening. They reconciled, and they reconciled with their children. And she was able to persuade him to come to a mindfulness retreat. That person was aware that no one can help except her. So she practiced with all her heart. And that is why only 6 days of practice was could already help her to do it. All of us can do so. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of practice, and then we shall be able to listen to the other person. Restoring communication is our practice. We have to restore communication between two people, two groups, two communities, two nations. And this should be the practice of everyone at all levels. Because we suffer so much, we have suffered so much of division and miscommunication. The quality of listening determines the success. We know that psychotherapists, they should be able to listen deeply to the people who come to them. And if the therapist suffers so much, if the therapist does not have good communication within her or his family, and then how could they listen to other people? Therefore, a therapist should listen to himself, to herself deeply, and listen to the people in his or her family deeply and restore communication before she could become a good therapist. The quality of listening. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is very good on this. And when we evoke the name of Avalokita, we make the vow to learn his art of listening. Every one of us should become Avalokiteshvara for the sake of the world. We have very sophisticated means for communication now. Electronic mail, fax, telephones. But this is a time when communication between father and son, father and daughter, partner and partner has become very difficult, sometimes impossible. That is why restoring communication is a very urgent practice on all levels. The true practice is the practice of the fourth mindfulness trainings, restoring communication, using loving speech, and using the techniques of compassionate listening. You will transform the situation, maybe in just a week or two.